because we have a special guest, we had to shut Christy's monitor off, but we'll get it turned back on later. Let's go ahead
Can
and
they at
jump right
least hear
over.
me?
Oh, they can hear you.
Okay, okay, good. All
And
right.
now they can see you. Are you
Okay.
okay?
I feel better now.
Okay, good. And we can see joining us Gwen Barringer, the amazing Gwen, founder of JoCo
Hi, everyone.
MPP. She's back. We've had her once before on an episode of Paranormal Perspective, but Gwen is a longtime friend of the channel here, researcher and writer on Seriously Mysterious, and just a becoming even more and more important figure in terms of the true crime community. She's helped all kinds of different people. She's known across all these different shows. Like there was one time I was having a conversation and all of a sudden, like Tim and Lance were like talking about you, and I was like, "How do you guys know Gwen?" They're like, "Oh yeah, we had her on. Yeah, we had her on to talk about a case." Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it's amazing work you're doing, Gwen. Thank you so much for being such a good
Yes.
member of this community.
Actually, they interviewed Denise, Toby Anderson's cousin, recently, and it was a very good interview.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, those guys do some good work. I've been out of touch with them for a little bit. We got to get that fixed. Uh, Gwen, what's the big news about Joko MPP right now? What's going on?
Okay, so we are officially a nonprofit in the state of
Nice.
Oregon, and just generally speaking, so that's awesome, and honestly, something that I've been trying to push for a while,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
and it's been a wild ride. We have a board. There's only 3 people on it, but I feel like smaller is better at this stage of things. And
Yeah,
they're very reliable people with a lot of good skill sets, honestly.
yeah, you want to make sure that you've got that growth kind of tempered and happening in a good healthy way because I know,
Hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, just looking at what happens with some of these groups that'll pop up on Facebook and stuff, like the social component becomes its own bear to
Mm.
kind of grapple with.
Yeah.
And especially with
Mhm.
something you care about so much, like you want to avoid as many of those issues as possible while still charting some growth there. So it's good to hear that you're getting some help.
Exactly, but delegating authority is really hard.
I suck at it. I'm still not good at it.
I know they're, trust me, you can't wrestle something out of his hands. He's like, no, no, I've got this.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
only sleeping 5 hours this week.
Right now, what's your sign again, John?
I'm a
Hmm.
Sagittarius. I'm a Sag.
That's right.
Yeah. So because of this, you've first of all, you've been helpful in so many cases. You've been building inroads into some law enforcement divisions, some contacts there. You're writing now for some other publications. Tell us about all that.
I've been writing for a while for a local paper, the Illinois Valley News, and that's been pretty great. I cover like city matters, like government matters. I go to the city council meetings once a month. I've sort of been slacking on those a little bit this year, but they keep getting weirdly timed when I'm doing other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like literally the last one was on the day that I flew out to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons Conference.
Oh, well, that's a conflict that I know
Yeah.
which way you're going to go with because I know your
Yeah,
passion for
exactly. I was
yeah.
like, I got priorities. Sorry, guys. The city article's gonna have to wait. But I contribute other things to them in the meantime. Like they can send me out to the courthouse to cover any trial things, and I will happily do that because honestly, I really enjoy watching the legal process play out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it does not always play out that great
No.
in this state because a lot of our state laws are a little bit wonky, but learning how to navigate those is sort of essential to running anything out here, especially a nonprofit that is going to work with law enforcement and hopefully lead to prosecution in some of our cold missing persons cases that are homicide investigations, which is honestly a large portion of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know just watching your development over the past several years that whatever your instincts are, trust them and go that way, because your growth has just been like, I could chart it, and it's just been swinging up right from the start. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, trust those instincts and
Thank
keep it
you.
going. And it is solid information. It does all circle back into just having a better sense of these kind of civic issues, how to get around these systems, and also you never know, like, when some of those connections are going to be helpful for you in terms of these cases that you're assisting with. So that's awesome. So what was this
Exactly.
conference? This is the main reason we wanted to have you on,
Oh, yeah.
obviously. What was this conference? Who was
Yes.
putting it on?
Absolutely. So it is put on by the National Criminal Justice Training Center. Sorry, I had to look at my notes because the acronym, I know the acronym, but sometimes remembering what it stands for is a little hard.
Yeah.
And that's done through Fox Valley Technical College. So I think that's the same place that NamUs is run out of, right?
I don't know where they are now. 'Cause they used to be out of UNT, but all that got
Oh,
shaken up
okay.
a couple years ago. So they are somewhere else now. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Okay, but they're, I mean, it was an experience. And like, bold that word, capitalized letters, underline, 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 experience,
Yeah.
because holy crap. And Vegas of all places. I'm not a city girl. Cities are very overwhelming, but I learned so much at the conference. Like,
Good.
the only time I was really overwhelmed was when I was not at the conference.
Right. So who was there? What other organizations were you seeing? Was there like tables set up, or was it all
Oh my
presentations, or?
gosh. So there was a little exhibition hall. They had there were a lot of organizations, DNA Doe Project, Missing in America. I actually like I just missed Candace Cooley, like actually meeting her, but we're now Facebook friends. So like
Oh, good.
cool beans.
Candace,
But
she's
Candace is
amazing.
something else.
And she is a tour de
yes.
force. I had a dinner
Mhm.
with her at Advocacy Con, and I swear we were talking for 4 hours. And she has so
Mhm.
many different things going. She's not someone that's content for like just her case has been handled, they're getting justice for her son. She's trying to take all of those lessons and figure out how to help other people.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
No,
It's
and
really amazing.
It
I
is.
am like blown away by the amount of information that she had and Missing in America had.
Yeah.
And they even had a couple of our adjacent cases because with JoCo MPP, what I'm trying to do is I don't just want to provide resources for the missing persons cases out of Josephine County,
Yeah.
but also those that have roots in Josephine County or have some sort of connection to the area as well. So I've sort of filed those in my brain under the adjacent cases. They're going to have a special section on the website that I'm still working on.
Mhm.
And yeah, they had Bailey Blunt and Michael Bryson at their table.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael is one of our adjacent cases because a lot of well, a good chunk of the people that were at that party that night
Hmm.
actually hail from here and live around here.
Mm.
Like, Oregon's the southwestern sort of, the western chunk
Yeah.
of it.
Mhm.
A lot of people know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say that there are likely some people in this area who may know a few things and are just not saying anything.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, and
And with
you kind
Bailey
of have a
Blunt,
culture of
obviously,
you have a culture of like some people
yeah.
like living off grid and kind of being
Mhm.
counterculture.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So many,
Yeah.
so many. And then we've got, it's kind of an interesting blend because we've also got like a large, I I don't mean to get too political, but a very large conservative population that does trust the police. That, some of these people are also deep into conspiracy land where they think our local law enforcement is corrupt because they're not doing the things that they want to be done, etc. And
Right.
like, there's some big things happening in Grants Pass regarding the county commissioners. I don't know. I'm out here in Cave Junction. I go into Grants Pass and do things for missing persons cases. I don't really deal with the city government structure so much there, and their police department's been kind of blowing me off. So
Well, they'll pay for that at some point. I know.
Yeah.
I know you'll bend someone's ear at some
especially,
point.
I mean, some of the connections that I made at the conference, y'all, they're going to need some of these connections
Yeah.
in the near future, hopefully, to assist with some of their cold cases, assuming that they actually want to work them.
Yeah.
Sorry to sound a little bit jaded, but one of the things that stuck out to me the most about this convention or this conference is that other departments outside of my state and my county function so much differently. Some of them actually like listen to civilians and work with civilians.
Wow.
And it's really weird because I hadn't really considered that this is an option. But the first presentation that I went to, the first little like seminar that I stuck on my schedule when we were given the option, because the way that it worked was that we had like a few things that we attended that were just there on the schedule, and then they would do break sessions or breakout sessions,
Yep.
and we'd go to different things. And so the first one that was one of my chosen things was titled Civilian Investigators, You're an Asset in Missing and Unidentified Persons Cases. Obviously, first thing I'm going to hit up.
Yeah. And I like the message just behind the
And
title.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
despite the fact that it was the National Missing and Unidentified Persons Conference, there were an interesting amount of Canadian law enforcement officials there. And this seminar was actually conducted by a lady who is a missing persons coordinator out of Toronto.
Mm.
And I forget her name. I've got her card somewhere.
Yeah.
But she gave me a lot of hope at that first thing, and it was like I was almost in tears when I went and like walked up to her and thanked her, because she started out as a lifeguard
Wow.
looking for a missing boy, volunteering, and
Amazing.
she just that spark ignited in her, you know.
Yeah.
And I know you know what I'm talking about. It's that same sort of spark all of us feel.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And it meant so much to see what we could do if our law enforcement and our populace were a little less jaded on both sides of the equation.
Yeah.
Because I thanked her for that so much, because I needed that to kickstart the rest of this
Yeah.
little adventure. I needed that reminder that, even though law enforcement isn't necessarily keen about my organization thus far, there is hope to bend them into actually working with us and doing some good for these missing people and their families. And
Well, I think
that's all I want.
we've also got a
Mhm.
time component on that, Gwen, because with the younger generations of law enforcement that are going to be coming in, they are now going to be people that grew up on podcast content, my content, Netflix docuseries.
Yes.
So yeah, it will shift. It's just we're in this period right now where a lot of kind of the
Yeah.
older law enforcement doesn't see that as helpful, doesn't know how to engage
Exactly.
it, outside of a few notable exceptions. So
But as a matter of fact, on day 2, John,
yeah.
one of the notable things that I attended was called Traditional and Social Media, Your Ally in Missing and Unidentified Persons Cases.
Thank goodness.
Wow.
And
Good.
it was held by Jimmy Lee, I want to say, who is the director of public. He's like the public coordinator dude for the Contra Costa County police,
Yeah.
and he's a cool guy. I got a lot of family that lives in Contra Costa County, so that was also kind of a fun plus. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, if my aunt with dementia ever runs off, I know who to contact. But like,
Yeah.
you know, that one was really enlightening
Mm-hmm.
because of an interaction I had. And I sort of told you a little bit about this, John. Do
Please
you
share it.
think I
Yeah.
can go into this here?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jimmy opened up the floor and he asked the people attending the seminar, like, do you have any high profile cases that you've worked that, cases that have been getting a lot of media attention, maybe some unwanted media attention? And like 2 seats and a little to the left of me, a guy pops up and he says, I don't know if I should quote what he said necessarily.
Okay. Yeah. Let's paraphrase.
Well, we're going to paraphrase because what he said was honestly egregiously insensitive, and I don't want to go there
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this involves victim and a case that we're kind of familiar with on here.
Yeah.
But he mentioned a case that I was familiar with from Oregon, and he left out a lot of the beginning details and only kind of went into what happened after her body was found.
I think we're fine we're
And
talking about McKenna Riley. We're talking about the McKenna
yeah, we're
Riley
talking
case
about
here.
the McKenna Riley case.
Yeah.
But he wasn't saying her name, and I turned around and I asked him flat out in front of everybody, are we talking about McKenna Riley?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. He did not like that necessarily, but I don't know. It was very interesting because he went on a little diatribe about how that case was getting a bunch of unwanted media attention because the family didn't agree with their findings. And yeah, it was a bit of a trip.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously that's one that we covered on the main channel and we covered in depth. We had Bevan, McKenna's sister, come on. We had the private investigator come on. They shared a lot of detailed information about their findings, some big questions that they had about the state of the body. I've been trying to find a resource to help them with better analysis of that. But I can tell you the questions that they're raising, especially about what looks like some form of wound around her neck, they're important questions and they should be addressed. I'm surprised that law enforcement wouldn't go and take the time, contact their resources and say, you know what? Yeah, I know that we've got one medical examiner that says maybe this was turtles snapping at the flesh. We're not 100% sure about that. Can we just get a second opinion? Can we run this through, some type of other resources to help them with this?
It's victimology. I mean, I feel like they're trying to paint McKenna a certain way, and
yeah.
We all have our own individual struggles, and that should not take away from the fact that this is a very suspicious death, very likely an unsolved homicide.
Right.
I'm just going to call it as I see it from what we've learned, and I'm disappointed in Lane County.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know
I'm
the family is
disappointed in
too.
my state after attending this conference.
Yeah.
And also after learning a few laws outside of missing persons, and just investigative procedure related things, there are a few laws in the state that are very concerning. Like in Oregon, it's not a felony to strangle a minor unless that minor's under the age of 10.
Wow.
Fun fact.
Wow.
Learned that recently, and it was, yeah. So our state's got a lot of catching up to do in terms of some of the laws, both within and outside of missing persons things. The legislative seminar that I attended at the conference, I had a cop lady from New Jersey look at me and go, "What state did you say you were from again?" At one point while she was giving her presentation, because they want participation, I'm giving them participation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm raising my hand. I'm saying things. I'm asking questions. And one of the things that I pointed out was that some of the things that she was talking about in the legislation only apply if local and state police have certain departments.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I pointed out the fact that my county doesn't even have like a missing persons division. Our state doesn't even have a missing persons division. We have a missing persons clearinghouse
Right.
that seems like it's gotten at least somewhat better in terms of the design, but some of the information's still off. I still have a guy who was literally found deceased 2 years ago on the state missing persons list. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Erica Hogue and Toby Anderson are listed as missing from Jackson County. Why? Because the department that is working their case is based out of Jackson County because it's the Central Point branch of the Oregon State Police.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, can we go for accurate information, guys? Come on. But they can't even bother to do that. Our state doesn't have that. The majority of our law enforcement search and rescue are volunteer based. And that means that if they're looking for somebody with a gun or who's suspected to have a gun or who might have suicidal ideation, like Erica Hogue, they're not going to send out search and rescue.
Good Lord.
Wow.
The woman from New Jersey was completely appalled. And I naively assumed that very few states had like their own search and rescue things and whatnot, and like
No,
their own
this is the
county
problem, Gwen.
jobs.
This is the problem.
But
Like every
mhm,
state is running in its own little, bubble, and then the
Mhm.
yes,
departments are running within their own little bubbles in each state. So we've got this crazy variance of a person goes missing from this area, they're going to get these resources. Person, same conditions goes missing from a different area, they're not going to get the same resources. And that
Yeah.
is why it's so important that we are developing people that have A, the intellect, and B, the voice like you do to help talk about
yeah,
these issues, bring awareness to them. And I know that it's daunting for you sometimes when you're taking this stuff on with how you emotionally feel about it. But just know that that is part of the fire and part of the path that you can see for the work that has to be done.
thank you.
Yeah,
Because honestly, it's frustrating, but at the end of the day, still it feels worth it.
it is
Mhm.
worth it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And for anyone who does this work, actually, there's a song by a lady called Beth Crowley that is called Worth It that sometimes I will just put on repeat and listen to when I'm getting in my feelings. And I recommend it. It's very just uplifting in terms of when you're taking on some of this emotional labor.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep. You've got to be able to have self-care.
Mhm.
And that's part of
absolutely.
it.
It's weird.
Absolutely.
That's
I have one
that.
day a week that is a designated self-care day where I'm just not doing much of anything other than loving the cats and maybe cleaning the house some.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a big part of the reason why the secret studio even exists. Like it is
Yeah.
my way of breathing and exhaling at the end of the week and letting everything go. Because obviously the big release, the big workload happens leading up to Thursday night, and then I'm putting it all together, and it's going out on Friday. And on Friday afternoon, I just want to just breathe, just you know get ready for the weekend, enjoy my life, my family, the things I love doing, and recharge because I know what next week's going to look like. It's going to look quite a bit like this one did. So yeah, yeah, it's important to get that cycle going where you're taking care of yourself and staying
Mhm.
grounded with all that because we're in this for the long haul. All right, Gwen, we just have a couple more minutes, but I know you've got a couple big events coming up. What is coming up
Yes.
for JoCo MPP?
Yes. What are you doing?
All right. So May 17th, we've got our annual Walk for Erica, which focuses on the Erica Hogue case. That's the day she disappeared, May 17th, 2018. And because this was the spark that ignited the JoCo MPP fire, I still I gotta keep it up.
Yeah.
And so
Oh, yeah.
this is a yearly thing that we do. We hold our signs in downtown Cave Junction, sometimes go out to Selma. Selma's not that big. It doesn't get a lot of foot traffic. Cave Junction gets more. I mean, we could maybe go out to Grants Pass, but that's a little further from Selma. So it's like figuring out the locations of where to be. I feel like sticking in Cave Junction and doing that there for her is the important thing. And
Yeah.
we walk through the town, hold our signs, play a little bit of music that she liked,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
just try and get people's attention. Last
well,
year, the ladies at the thrift store that we stopped outside of got kind of mad because she thought we were political protesters. And then I turned around and had my big sign with Erica's face on it that says, "Where is Erica?" at the top of it. And was like, "Well, okay, if you really want us to move, we'll move." And she went, "Oh no, it's you. Never mind, you can stay." And I was
Oh.
like, "Yeah, damn right. We're here every year."
yep. Well, I will definitely light a candle and make sure that I
Thank
remember her that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be
And then you have another
8
event,
years,
right? In May?
7 years. Yeah, in June.
Oh, in
Beginning
June.
of June. We still haven't figured out which day, but we're probably gonna go for Friday or Saturday. The JoCo MPP rally is happening where we bring together all of our missing and we advocate for them outside of the local courthouse.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember
And
when you did that last year.
yeah, this will be our third one actually, and
Yeah.
it gets a little bit bigger and a little bit better every year. Like last
Good.
year, I invested in a big felt board and I put all of the missing persons flyers on it, and I
Yep.
was super stoked because it was so much better having that there than having people just like shuffling through all of the flyers on tables.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the banner, it still comes out, and we may end up having to readjust the banner at some point if things go well with one of the cases that's on it.
Hey. Hey, that's a good problem to have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you
Mhm.
hope for.
Hope to hear that comes
Exactly.
out.
That is a good problem.
Yeah. Well, Gwen, thank you so much for joining us here today and for sharing all this. And thank you more than all that, just for the amazing work you're doing. And I know that you also have such a good touch with the families that you're working with. And I know that they're being taken care of and handled well. So I really appreciate you and appreciate everything you're doing.
Yes,
Also,
you're the best.
yeah, it's been too long since we've had a game night. We got to get a game night together where
Yes.
we all
Yeah,
play.
it
So
has.
yeah, we'll be
Yes.
lining that up here in the next few weeks. So all right.
And also, thank you so much, John, because honestly, I don't think I would necessarily be doing all of this if you hadn't believed in me.
Oh, man.
Oh,
That's like the best thing I could ever hear, Gwen. Thank you so much.
you're gonna make him cry.
I know. Yeah, I just got the feels.